There's no way this dude got this big by using those little weights. So let's break down that comment. What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of The Morning Takeaway, aka Inside Influence, soon to be, whenever I make that brand change. And to be completely transparent with you, I just filmed this whole episode and it took about 20 minutes and it was great. I thought it was great, but my camera stopped recording after 3 minutes. So bear with me if I seem a little frazzled. But today I want to get into something a little bit more in the fitness world, kind of hit on something and the idea from my trainer brain and bring you some value, hopefully, from in the fitness world. And it pertains to form and your foundation to making progress in the gym. And it all kind of stemmed from a video that I put out on my Facebook Reels that I want to kind of dissect and break down some of the comments, yada, 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 and go from there. But before we get into it, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts. Let me know if you enjoy these kind of fitness style tips, hacks, whatever type videos on the podcast, because I do enjoy talking about this stuff. Obviously, I put a lot of it out there on my Snapchat, my Instagram stories, and what have you, and sometimes out here on the podcast, and I guess my other long form content on YouTube. But it's fun for me to just kind of ramble through like the top 5 hacks at the grocery store or whatever it might be. So if that's something of interest to you, please let me know so I can keep doing it and thinking of fun ways to bring value through the fitness space on podcasts too. And then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're the first one to see my videos, and that's the end of my YouTube pitch. I do it every YouTube video. Sorry, and thank you for bearing with me. So with that said, let's get into what I want to talk about. Form is your foundation. And I put a video on my YouTube, or on my Facebook rather, it was essentially just a how-to video. It was a how to do one of the fundamental movement patterns, which is a horizontal row, and just the benefits, or not even the benefits, but how you can get more out of that movement pattern by doing a few little things, right? I was drawing arrows, I was telling you what was too fast, which way to pull, and just kind of triggering these things in my trainer brain. And that video, and by the way, that platform is a little different than my Instagram. I have that same video on my Instagram and my YouTube Shorts actually, but Facebook, there's about 57,000 of you, thank you. And I post reels as well as some motivational, just kind of a quote every day, just kind of deep level, kind of get your brain mindset going. But this video on Facebook got over 5 million views, and I don't really tend to look into the comments too much on Facebook because the comments on Facebook seem to be a little bit more negative, and I just don't want to surround myself with that, right? Because and not all of them, right? The vast majority, probably I would say 95% are positive, but it just seems that people pop up out of nowhere with a little bit more to say in a way. I don't know. But with that said, I was going through the comments on this video, and again, 97% of them were super positive and thank you for the value. I didn't know that, right? Like there was good feedback, but then I started noticing some, and I was like, wait, why is this getting ripped on? Why are people talking down on it, right? And I want to address a couple of them, not because they bothered me, but just because I feel like they were good points to bring up and expand on and tell more people about, right? One of which was, the first comment was, there's no way this dude got this big by using those little weights. So let's break down that comment. For that video, I used a lighter weight for instructional purposes. And because it's easier to go through with absolutely perfect form with lighter weights. And that's my point here. One of my biggest takeaways from wanting to do this podcast was to tell you that form is your foundation. And before you can utilize progressive overload, which for those of you that don't know what that is, it's increasing your load or your weight, your sets, your reps, decreasing your rest time, or just whatever it is over a given period of time through a movement pattern. You have 7 functional movement patterns. Just to give you a little knowledge here, you have horizontal push, which is a press, or like a bench press, horizontal pull, horizontal row, right, which is what I was doing in this video. Vertical push, which is overhead press. Vertical pull, which is a pull up. Hip dominant, deadlifts, RDLs. Squats are knee dominant, which is your 6th one, and lunges. And then core. I like to use unilateral movements for core, rotational exercises, anti-movements. Anyways, so to progress through those, you have to start at perfect form. And before, and I think this is a pretty universal topic from trainers, is the idea that correcting your form first is the step one, right? We want to make sure that is there so you prevent injury. And where I'm going to get a little lopsided here is the fact that I want to encourage you to, once you perfect your form, and note that, right? I'm not encouraging trying to risk injury. I'm encouraging once you perfect that form and that through that movement pattern, which is what I was trying to show you how to do on this video, to push yourself and push yourself in a way that is not going to hurt yourself, but maybe you have to use a little momentum. Like, let's take, for example, a bicep curl. When you do a bicep curl and you see those people in the gym and they're swinging them all the way up and right with a lot of momentum, well, I think that's okay to a certain extent. I think it's okay to get a little momentum and have your form break down as long as you are getting something beneficial from it, maybe on the negative of that movement or the dropping the weight for a drop set. So I'll give you an example. Last week I was doing hammer curls. I was doing 80 pounds in each hand, alternating. Was I doing it with momentum? Absolutely. Do I think you could do it perfect with 80s? Maybe one day, but not maybe 1% of the population, right? So I was getting momentum, I was getting the super heavy stimulus on the muscle for the progressive overload, right? That's what progressive overload is doing. It's putting a certain different stimulus on your muscle so that you can break down, repair, come back stronger, and improve from it. That's the same idea as going on a long bike ride and taxing your cardiovascular system, right? It's the same idea. It's going to come back better. So you're expanding something so it can grow and repair, yada, yada, yada. So then, within this example for me, with the 80-pound dumbbells, I put those down after I did my set of like 6 to 8 on each side, and I grabbed 20-pound dumbbells and I did bilateral, and I did perfect hammer curls, and did my form completely perfect, right? I dropped the weight, now there's a different stimulus, and so on and so forth, right? So I think there's a way, if you can utilize that perfect form, maybe after you break down your form, right? There's, again, I'm not encouraging, like, I'll use another example. I don't think the majority of the population is not gonna be able to do 4 sets of 10 at 405 pounds on a deadlift with perfect, absolutely pitch perfect form, right? Your form's gonna break down a little. That's why when we train strength or power, you're going anywhere from a 1 to 6 rep range at times, right? And you're gonna break down a little. And that's okay, because as long as your body has been trained and corrected to that form in a specific way, you're gonna be able to get some benefit from it. And again, the benefit's gonna come over time. If you're working through a program, and how I program my own personal programs is I work through a movement pattern, and then for 4 or 5 weeks, and then I take a break from it and do a different variation of it, and then come back to maybe that same movement pattern after another 4 to 5 weeks, and all of a sudden you're stronger because your muscles have adapted to a different stimulus. And now you come back and you're putting a different stimulus, and you're like, whoa, great. And you can utilize that form, and the form just gets better throughout the progression of weight or progressive overload, for lack of a better term again. So that said, I think that's my biggest takeaway from that first comment. And then another comment was saying something along the lines of, you're not doing this right, something about the protraction at the front. And what I was really trying to show was the protraction, the reach at the front to get the most out of your range of motion, and then pulling back to the hips to get that good squeeze at the back. And they were saying, oh, you're working different muscles here, there, and they were right, but not 110% right. And I think that's my point on this second point. This is really the last point I want to make, is the idea that this is why fitness is so great. There's not a one-size-fits-all mentality. There's not a one-size-fits-all program. There's not a one-size-fits-all philosophy. Everyone has their different ideas, has their different philosophies that work. And for that matter, some people like CrossFit, some people like bodybuilding, some people like endurance, ultra marathon type sports. There's so many different ways to, if we make fitness a verb, to fitness, right? You can just be walking, and that's a great thing to do every day, right? There's so many different things, but on a fundamental level, there is no one size fits all. Now, as a trainer, in my opinion, you should have a basic knowledge, like knowing the 7 functional movement patterns and how to use correctives to make sure somebody's spine is in alignment, or their shoulder mobility, hip mobility, anything is the way it needs to be so that they can then work through their form with great form and progress and then ultimately achieve their goals. That's why a lot of times trainers have you doing the most boring stuff at the beginning of a workout, those correctives and whatnot, because they're trying to get your body to cooperate in order to get it to that perfect form. So that said, there are some universal principles as far as it goes when it comes to training as a trainer. But I wanted to address the form being your foundation, I guess, in this video the most, because I do believe that some people get scared to just keep pushing because, oh, my form isn't good. Well, there should be a percentage of you that says, hey, it's okay to break down a little because I have to push myself, right? There are benefits to gain from a little breakdown. There is, and I don't want you, again, I'm not encouraging injury, but I just don't want people to fear maybe 5 extra pounds, because that 5 extra pounds could really, really help. And again, another tool to use is those drop sets. Drop the weight by, 40 to 60% and then rep it out. So I don't know, that's kind of the rant I wanted to go on here about form, and I think it's important to remember. And obviously, again, it's your foundation, so perfect it first, then analyze it and put it into action and try to push yourself. I think those are my biggest takeaways. And again, I'm not with the comments, I don't mind. I actually enjoy when people kind of voice their opinions, but it's like, hey, we need to be open to all these perspectives, because there is no one size fits all, especially when it comes to fitness and I get life in general. There is no one size fits all philosophy. Maybe love and inclusion, I don't know. But anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. I hope there was something you could take of value away from that podcast and that little rant, and because I enjoy talking about it. So let's wrap this thing up with a random question generator. What is on your bucket list this year? That's an easy question to answer. On my bucket list is to live in a different state or country every month. Maybe it's every 2 months if I'm enjoying it, whatever it might be, but kind of just throw everything in a storage unit here and then go somewhere fun. Pick a place on the map. Maybe I leave it up to my followers to put it in a poll, and whoever is the biggest answer, I go there. I don't know. Maybe I plan it where I'm in the States for a couple months, then I go to Europe, then I go to Spain. I don't know. I could go to so many different little areas, I guess, and figure out how to make it work, because I'm grateful enough to do what I do from home, right? It might cost a little extra, but I think that's also, if we circle back to my words for this year, one of my words is minimalism, and to live as minimalistically as possible, right? And I think that'd be a cool way to do it, is go live and just be super bare bones. Even, it doesn't have to be luxury. That's not really my personality. So that's on my bucket list, and it's going to be going effective. I know in August. It could be as soon as July, but in August I know that I know that I'm living in Hawaii for the month of August, and the second week of July I'll be there too. So anybody that's out there that's in Hawaii, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in a few months. But with that said, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I will see you next time on the Morning Takeaway, aka Inside Influence. Have an awesome freaking day, and don't forget to smile.